Live and in person.
By the way, Judd, I appreciate the hair. It looks very nice tonight.
Oh, you notice something?
Yeah. Thank you. So Judd shaved off his soul patch for everyone that's watching. Or whatever the fuck that is. That he normally.
Whatever that
I didn't
weird
even think
growth
about it.
was.
It went all the way across the bottom.
Do I get a little bit of extra illumination?
That wasn't so much a soul patch anymore as a hairy lower lip.
It was.
Okay,
Yeah.
He had the reverse mustache.
I just
Should've-
realized something. My computer is so big, I have a light on the wall above it just so I can work on it, just so I can see to work in it when it comes time to fix it or make changes.
Sounds about right. Remember, my work desk is 80 inches long. But then again, it also has a built-in bar. Which, for anyone that's wondering, I did get a mini fridge for. I should check and see the audio levels are good.
Oh, speaking of.
Audio levels? Are you speaking of audio levels or bars?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
What'd you do?
I'm gonna go with YouTube's being a pain.
I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
We're having technical difficulties tonight. Don't mind us. Hey, Peanut Gorilla.
This never ever happens.
You want to be my sound tester tonight, Peanut?
And you sounded good for the brief second I listened before the echo overwhelmed.
Wait, it's saying that my sounds aren't working? That one worked just fine. Oh, I don't have that. Hold on. I thought it did. Oh, don't start that yet, Tom.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, everyone's a little on the quiet side. That's what I thought.
Well, I've got the stream over here, and then I have all the cameras over here. So you see me looking back and forth. That's why.
Final talk.
Talk.
Talkity talk.
Final talk.
What? About what? You want me to just vamp up here?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
about it.
Okay, I just bought a new D&D book.
Really? Which one?
The Guilds of Ravnica book.
Another 5e, which is not as bad as 4. Just saying.
What 4? There was no 4. I'm still wondering why they went from 3.5 to 5.
Well,
Good answer.
4 in the Chinese culture is a unlucky number, so that's why we never got an Arctic Silver 4. It went from Arctic Silver 3 to Arctic Silver 5. So hey, Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 to 5.
I'm not going to say jack shit. I'm going to let them have their dreams.
No,
I don't play D&D.
I was actually a beta tester for the version that shall not be named, and I raised a lot of complaints about it being really bad. They still published it. And
okay, so I'm going to let Tom go ahead, if you would, please.
Hold on a second. I got to take these out of my headphones too. They're driving me nuts. All right. Shut up, Thor. There we go. I really wish I could have gotten landing pad 42. Just saying.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So good evening, Omegans, Omegites. I don't even know what we should call ourselves these days.
The
Omegas.
Omega crew.
Omega people,
Omegas?
The Omega crew.
Ome pod people,
Amigos.
Omegans, crewmates. How about we just go with crewmates? Why am I not getting the web browser for the presentation? There it is. Yay! I know how to do things. Good evening, guys. We got a lot. Strangely enough, I thought it was going to be a light week, and the next thing I know, we had a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. We're obviously going to talk a little bit more about Star Trek because Lower Decks has had 2 episodes since the last time we talked about it. If you haven't been following the Blizzard sexual harassment, sexual discrimination lawsuit, you should be. I think this is going to be a watershed moment in the industry. We're going to talk I have a little good bit of news about Windows 11 for those of you that are interested in it. We're going to talk about Dune a little bit. If you haven't watched the original Villain View or the sci-fi version of Dune, the Sci-Fi Channel version, they're both worth watching. And
Dun dun dun.
So
So,
much
with no
anger
further ado-
regarding that. Anyways,
yeah. With no further ado, take it away, Bunny.
caution, spoilers ahead.
So many spoilers. Oh my god.
So
yes.
many spoilers.
Yes. So
This, by the way, is not the USS Cerritos, but I just love that ship. It looks cool.
it does. It does. It is great art. All credit to the artist.
I wish the
Yeah.
Cerritos looked like that.
So we're on season 2, episode 2. I didn't put the title of this one in there for some reason because I did this all while I was waking up. So I must say this is absolutely boring to me. This episode was absolutely a drag. And it's just because it was all about just really selfish conflict. It was really just that bad. And I love this series. I don't think I've ever had an episode that I disliked more than this one out of the whole thing. So if you guys have missed season 2, episode 2, you're not missing anything. It is literally filler.
Once
most-
again, they figured out a way to get a cartoon girl out of her clothes. Just saying.
And we have the sim blurring nudity type thing going on.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Pretty well done, actually.
So that's the highlight of this episode.
Well, it is a sonic shower, so
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
Jet
but their
over there-
faces stay complete.
Yeah. Jet over
Mm.
here is flexing. You know, he's showing off the goods to makes you
Beckett.
wonder. Mariner. It makes you wonder if he's got a thing for her.
And again, it is a work conflict thing of they are literally making assumptions about each other the moment they met each other. They just put him in there for a very dull conflict.
Well, if you recall, in season 1, he was the guy that Boimler's girlfriend was all over, and
Yeah.
Boimler was super jelly about it. And as it turns out, she probably should have been all over him rather than Boimler because of the head crab thing. But yeah, so I thought he was on that other ship. I didn't realize he had transferred to the Cerritos, or maybe he had been on the Cerritos the entire time. I don't know.
Yeah. So
well, he did say he transferred from the day shift. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. So what was it she called him? No, what was it Boimler called him? A it was a I can't remember I even went and recorded it on my phone. But when he was complaining about it, it was like a Kirk salad with Trip Tucker dressing or something like that.
Tucker sprinkles.
Yeah, Trip Tucker sprinkles.
Yeah. And for me it was I think there's already enough hatred that the main characters had for this character that when they inserted him it was just going to be bad blood from the start, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they did it in a very boring way.
Again, I'm looking at the body shapes. You know, it's like You got Tindy over here, who's a little thick. You got Mariner, who's very athletic. You got Rutherford, who's
Dad
a bit,
bod. Almost
bit
dad bod.
almost a dad bod, but a bit bulkier than average. And you got Jet over here, who looks like a bodybuilder. Again, I commend the artists for creating varied body types, and they're all varied and they're all believable. But you can tell who they
Kind
are
of.
without having to. Yeah,
Mariner's body type could be a little bit more realistic for feminine point of
she's a
view.
bit, she's a bit of a Barbie doll. Yeah,
Yeah, you could snap her
I
like
mean,
a fucking twig.
she's also a cartoon. So
Yeah. If we're gonna go for realism.
Yeah.
Snap her.
So
Snap her in half.
was anybody else just a little bit freaked out by the Starship Troopers, co-ed shower scene here?
No.
I still think that the Deckers all should have their own quarters. Or at least be double bunked. I mean, it seems
I
like
think
in other
that's what
Star
the
Trek
military
series.
wants too, and depending on where you're stationed, you ain't getting it.
Yeah, I feel like in other Star Trek shows, everyone has always had cabins, and the fact that these guys are sleeping basically in the hallway.
Even if they're just like enlisted crew, it's going to be a tiny cabin, but their own personal
Yeah.
cabin. Come on.
Oh yeah. Oh, like I
mean,
said,
Well,
there's
I mean, like
tons of
depending on
space.
how much
Well,
crew you
canonic-
have, you're going to be sharing bunks.
but
Like
canonically, every ensign in
even
every book, every show has ever.
I'm going to add a little bit more realism. The U.S. Army doesn't always give people their own housing. It's unrealistic. So they're
But-
trying to show that in the show, and the part of the joke is the fact that it's
it's
communal.
the joke, and it is the joke. And the problem is if you look at the size of the ship, canonically the ship is almost as large as the Enterprise D.
How many kindergartens does this one have on it?
They had at least 3.
Okay, just keep that in mind. So you got
the
families.
ship
So
is
families get
almost-
first priority.
The ship is almost as large as the Enterprise D. And have you guys ever seen the picture of the Enterprise D with the entire crew standing on the upper side of the saucer section?
Yes.
It's a little tiny postage stamp for a giant frisbee of a saucer section. Even the Cerritos doesn't have anywhere near as many crew as the D does. That saucer section is just as big as the D's saucer. It's actually almost as long because those nacelles are really long. They're like the nacelles on the Discovery, and that there's no reason. There's just no logical reason for the lower deckers to be berthed like that, except some jerkhead back thought he was asserting his authority by creating a shared housing situation instead of giving these people their own quarters.
Especially with their bunk beds being basically in the middle of a corridor.
Yeah.
And
That
A general
they could've
corridor
changed.
anybody can walk through.
Yeah.
Every other Star Trek series, ensigns have always always had rooms.
So I'm going to
Oh,
go
Not
back
very-
to this
not
is
very
the
big,
joke.
but they
Yeah.
had them.
Yeah, well, usually ensigns would be bunked with one other person. They almost always have a roommate, but
Yeah.
they've still got a cabin,
Like we see in
it's
Discovery.
big enough to turn around in. Yeah.
Yeah. This
Exactly,
is the joke.
Well, and that cabin in Discovery is huge for the cabin that Killy and I cannot remember
Michael?
her name right now. Michael Burnham. Yeah, Michael Burnham. That is huge by any reasonable standard for those two people. But
Yeah, that
especially when
size
both-
was
they were
basically
both low.
Picard's quarters on the D.
Yeah, I mean Tilly is the epitome of lower deck. She's not even an ensign. She was academy student.
Yeah.
She was on extended study. There's no, I mean, yeah, she should have. If anybody's gonna be sleeping in a hallway, it should have been Captain Killy. But anyways,
I would say refer back to her name. She gets the room if she wants one.
I just like calling her that.
If they
Ensign-
made people
Chili.
bunk up in shows, they would need to make a new set for that.
That's
They
true
can
too.
just recycle their crew cabins that way.
Giving them a crew cabin gave them a lot of chance to explore each other's personality, and there's a reason that we have what are called buddy shows. Why we always have
Slide
two people
2.
paired together. Okay, yeah, and it's to give people the chance to explore their personalities and talk to each other. Oh, that bird, the bird guy. I forgot his name. I didn't even remember his name. I like him though.
So I love
Well,
the fact that they
Chelsea, I cannot
attempted
remember
to
his
add
name.
in 2 new characters to the main, like they added one new character to the main group trying to act like they're filling a spot, and then they added a new security officer.
Well, yeah, because Shax is no more. He's now with the Prophets.
So, and they make it kind of funny because, like, oh, the translator doesn't work, right? You know, and he's so awkward about it. It's not like he's confidently wrong the whole time. No. He's just really awkward. Like he knows he's fucking it up, but he's not gonna try.
My only problem with it is his inflection is like he's trying to speak normal gal standard or whatever the English is in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Federation
Trying to
standards.
speak normally, but using the words. Like, no, that's not how they did it in like Timbra, his arms wide. Shaka, when the walls fell. He didn't do that. He emphasized other words that they weren't really shouldn't be,
Yeah.
as
Well,
like he
part-
was normally talking.
Well, obviously
It was
they
weird.
trained.
It was definitely
Obviously
weird.
they trained these guys to speak not in memes. You know, that's part of what's going on here. Is he had to learn to speak in actual declarative sentences. So yeah, I mean, you know, and how far is this after that episode? Like 20 years, because we are just post Nemesis. So the stuff that's happening here is right after Data died, basically.
Why do you have to break my heart the moment we start podcast?
Sorry, but wait, have you not seen Star Trek Nemesis?
No, I have, but anytime you mention them killing off Data,
Okay,
my heart just
yeah.
shatters.
So in the canon, that was, I mean, just in the terms of when it was actually made, Star Trek Nemesis was made around 2005, something like that.
I
After
think it was 2004.
and the episode with the Tamarians was like the second season, right? So
They brought him from my childhood and killed him in my childhood, and
Yeah,
then brought
some
him back
say-
and killed him again. And
I'm gonna say
then, as an
15
adult, they
years.
got my hopes up.
50,
It's 2002.
Let's call it 15 years. Okay, so let's call it 12 years, 12, 13 years.
Did you say
there's
2002
plenty of-
as if it was supposed to like make it to where I was an adult or what?
So
No,
okay.
I'm just saying Nemesis came out in 2002.
Oh,
We're
okay. Sorry,
confused
the
about the
context
time.
was gone. Sorry.
So I'm
We,
just
we
gonna
were
say- I'm just
confused
gonna say
about the
that-
date.
I'm
Okay.
just going to say that a decade is plenty of time to learn for people that are going to be going out into the Federation. Foreign exchange students, let's just call them that. A decade is plenty of time for foreign exchange students to. What the heck? What's going on here? There we go.
You scrolled.
I must have. It's plenty of time for foreign exchange students to learn how to speak what amounts to a foreign language, even though the universal translator made the words understandable.
Yeah.
So instead of Shaka when the walls fell, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dude."
Yeah. It should have been better. But anyways,
And I mean, it honestly is Temba his arms wide. Is that really any different than us speaking in emoji? I mean, I can have an entire conversation with my kid without saying a single word, just texting emojis and just back and forth.
Yeah, I don't speak emoji. It's one of those languages I just look at and go, what?
yeah, that's how to make me leave a conversation pretty quickly. I'm just like, okay, cool. Unless it's like a niece or nephew and they get a pass because, you know, most of them are under 10.
There were a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, and I'm not sure if that's bad or good because I felt like this entire episode really hung on us recognizing all of these things on the collector's chip.
I didn't
There
focus
is a phrase for
on
that.
the hoarding shit. I didn't.
There is a phrase.
It was a lot of screen capturing, so if anyone wanted to focus on the hoarding ship, you missed your chance.
Yeah, good point. Go ahead.
I was
Jeff.
saying, there is a phrase for that. Member berries. Remember that one? Remember that one? Remember that one? Remember that one?
Member
Remember that one?
Does anybody recognize? I still haven't figured out who the big giant guy is supposed to be. Remember, there was a giant guy hanging from the ceiling with a giant skeleton with like a tattered blue shirt on. So obviously he was
It
trying to
was-
find a
Box.
officer.
It is the Infinite Vulcan.
From the animated series, Giant
Infinite
Spock.
Vulcan. Okay,
Yeah.
so apparently the Infinite Vulcan isn't so infinite. It is finite after all.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that one up. So this episode was, in the end, utterly forgettable.
The thing is, they try to make it so complex, but
Mhm.
in doing so, it lost a lot of value with me. It lost a lot of meaning because we had 4 different stories going on all at the same time.
Yeah, and it was all about. It was really all about Jet and Mariner's button heads, both trying to be the
Yeah,
boss.
but they were like
When
trying to like
really,
put little sprinkles of stuff in, and then it's
when really
like,
they should have been collaborating with everybody and not just trying to take over.
oh yeah, and it was a very childish thing. And it's like, if they are
Mhm.
as experienced as the writers claim these 2 ensigns to be, then why are they butting heads like 13-year-old girls?
Well, I'm going to come back to this in the next
Okay.
episode
Because toxic machismo.
because the next episode is also entirely about Mariner being an idiot.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue.
Their entire plot and
Stop.
the entire
Stop.
A plot is about her being an idiot. Okay. Meanwhile, Boimler's having the time of his life.
I think I
That's
captured
definitely
this.
that right there is the face you make when
Touche.
you are
That's
super
right.
excited, right?
That's what
Of course,
happens
we've
when
got to go
you
for the
are
Riker
like
maneuver.
you end up with these adrenaline junkies, and you are not an adrenaline junkie. This is like the
Yeah,
friend that like likes to read books in their pastime when
he
everyone else
is.
wants to
Yeah,
go like ziplining or jump out of
This
fucking airplanes.
this is a researcher from like TNG suddenly being stuck in TOS and just looking around like, what the f- is going on?
do you guys remember in the episode Temporal Edict when they had the slack time or whatever it was they called it? Everybody else was buffer time. When the captain outlawed buffer time, everybody else was all stressed and like bleary eyed, and
And he was so happy.
Boimler was getting off on it. Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, I finally get to do everything and not have to relax."
Like the oh damn it, workaholic. There's the phrase I'm looking
He
for.
was the only person on the ship who was actually happy not having buffer time. I don't recognize any of these people. I have read all of the Star Trek Titan books, and these characters don't make sense to me.
Okay, except for
Um,
Riker.
Well, Riker obviously, but I don't recognize the lady with the blue colors. His helmsman should be a Pacifican. They kind of made a thing about that in the first book because Riker had visited her in a intimate manner previously, and like it was like he's talking to his wife,
Jim, are you
Deanna,
okay?
and it's like, I mean,
The hand went to sleep.
Oh, okay.
basically there is the whole "Are you okay with this?" conversation,
Yeah.
and basically what it came down to is, well, she was cool with it. She's like, "You're married to me now. Well, just remember that." He got to do. Billy Boimler got to go on a cool away mission, though. I mean, they got to go down there and
Undercover ops.
undercover.
Fun fact: the
And
Riker maneuver was started because Jonathan Frakes hurt his back carrying the whole series.
okay, actually,
Ouch.
truth is, the Riker maneuver was started, which with Riker like always putting his leg over a chair because his back he had 2 vertebrae fused, and he just didn't have the flexibility to do a lot of things and make him look natural. So he started doing the leg over the chair, so he didn't have to bend his back. And a lot of time, and you'll see him standing with 1 foot up on things because it keeps the pressure off of his spine.
Yeah.
That's why he's always, you look around, there's always shots of him standing with like his foot up on a rock or leaning against something. It's because of he's got a bad back. And so that became kind of an in joke, obviously, among the fans. But the truth of the matter is Jonathan Frakes just has back injuries. Jim
It's
knows all about
also
that, right, Jim?
kind of interesting. This is also a philosophy in filming that came from oh crap, famous Japanese director. What he would tell his actors to do is make one kind of like body tick just yours, so that no matter where you
Mm,
are on screen, that even if we can't see your face, we know who it is.
because you're standing here
Akira
doing
Kurosawa,
what?
that's the director. That's who I'm thinking of. And it's actually a philosophy that's shown up in a lot of TV shows and movies, or anything where it's long form, because it's unique to that person. Kind of like Picard maneuver or Worf just kind of staring and just start frowning at people. It's like,
That's okay, Peanut. Peanut just apologized for getting us off track again. They
Not
were
really.
going to do it
we're
anyways.
kind of-
So, real quick, can we get a show of hands? Final, you're not counted in this because you don't have a hand. Who
Disembodied
here
head has no
in
hands.
Starport
Just a
Omega has
disembodied head.
ADD or ADHD?
I do. Oh God, do I have it?
I'm pretty sure I do.
I think Jim
All
is
of
the
us.
odd man out,
Probably.
Squirrel.
probably. So,
Squirrel.
90% of us in this group have ADD or ADHD. We are great at getting off track on our own. I saw something
yeah.
shiny and didn't pay attention for like whole 2 minutes. It's fine.
Or we go to make say like 2 sentences to each other's, and 3 hours later we go, did we ever finish what I started here?
Right?
like-
Anyways, next slide, if you won't
Okay,
mind.
so make note of the fact they went down to the planet on a shuttle. They couldn't beam down because of the radiation cloud. And they what would we call that? We would call that Occam's shuttle. No, not Occam's. You would call that Chekhov's shuttlecraft.
And we're obviously going in the order that the show made it go in, which was absolutely dreadful in my mind.
Yeah. Man, look at all those Klingon weapons.
Yeah, right?
Oh man, a collector would have a field day with those. Well, I guess a collector had a field
Actually-
day with those, huh?
Those aren't all
Yeah.
Klingon weapons.
Yeah,
you're
isn't that one the
right.
Vulcan one?
No, though, yeah,
Yeah.
that's Vulcan. I don't know what the big long one is. That's definitely a batleth. Yeah, they're not just Klingon weapons; they're just weapons. From
I
different
think
places.
the one on the far right is Klingon. There's a Batleth. I think the next one over is also Klingon, but I don't believe the other two are Klingons.
Mm,
So
yeah, I
the
don't think
weird
that's-
collector dude, I've got to mention this, attempted to collect one of the main crew members here. Just remember
Mhm.
this.
Oh yeah, he tried to
Collector gotta
collect
collect.
Rutherford because Rutherford was fairly unique as a cyborg.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only a few of us. Hello, Gilded.
Okay, I gotta say, I loved them turning him into a puppet. I just thought that was hilarious, and
It
every time you saw
was.
him in the rest of the show, somebody
Puppet
was carrying
beam.
him.
Although the doctor at the end was just had me absolutely laughing. He was like, "Knock it off! It'll wear off in like 2 hours." It's like,
Right?
Yeah, I
but
just
they're
love
all
how matter of
freaking out
fact-
about it.
Yeah, they're
Well,
all
I
thinking he's
mean, your
dead, and
crew
he's
member
all
just
this
turned
heaven deck.
into a motherfucking puppet. That's something to freak out
Exactly.
about.
Well, more to the point, there's again in the next episode the same. There's something else going on that like you're finding out that their technology is almost godlike at this point, but they're treating things like death and transmogrification just so casually now, and that's what makes me laugh so hard. It's
This
just,
is Starfleet. They've been through worse.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So at some point in the episode, someone mentioned Riker's transporter clone because foreshadowing is lovely.
Yeah, Boimler mentions it.
As
Boimler
soon
himself
As
mentions
soon
it.
as someone mentioned Riker's transporter clone, and having seen this little clip in the trailer, I knew exactly what was going to happen and how Boimler was going to end up back on the Cerritos.
Wouldn't that be Chekhov's transporter buffer?
That would be Chekhov's transporter buffer. That's correct. Russians are getting credit for so many things today.
Though
We invented that in Russia.
the Chekhov's shuttlecraft, no, that was actually Sulu's shuttlecraft. If you recall from, was it the first season episode of TOS, they didn't have the money to build a shuttlecraft, so
They hadn't built the
Sulu was
miniature
on
yet,
the-
so they couldn't
they
bring them up off the planet. Yeah.
they couldn't bring them off the planet. So they had transporter was down. They couldn't bring it off the planet. Well, if they had a shuttlecraft, hey.
So when's the first time we see a shuttle on the original series? Do you remember, Jim?
Things that didn't even cross my mind.
See, but
I think it would be
I
the
know it was in the
Galileo
first
7.
season.
What about you, Brad? What do you think?
The first time I remember seeing a shuttle, like, I know we saw one in a bay before we actually saw one being used in flight. Like, it was just set dressing.
Well, I mean, now, is it an aired episode?
Maybe
No, it was in season 1 before we
Journey
got
to Babel?
mirrored.
In season 1, obviously.
because they did have that gathering of UFP VIPs, which also included Sarek.
1967's Galileo 7, according to Peanut Gorilla.
Was that season 2?
No, it was season 1. It was fairly early in the series. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Galileo 7.
It's been so long since I watched the series. I should go back to it, but it's almost cringeworthy.
Yeah, the original is extremely cringeworthy and
funny
kind of
how it-
painful. Just
It's funny how it spawned an entire franchise, and yet we can't stand to watch the original series anymore.
Well, the only one I really don't like watching is was it the second one, Charlie X?
It's about 2/3 for me. 2/3 of the episodes are still really fun and watchable, and in the other third, I'm just like, never again, thanks.
Yeah, right. Okay, next slide.
But so we get Boimler back, and we just
Clone him is cooler than original him, which annoys
Yeah.
the shit out of me.
and I find it hilarious that clone Boimler gets the adrenaline junkie half, and the original Boimler gets the is the studious, let's stay on the safe Cerritos.
Yeah.
But they accomplished their
Spot
purpose, and they
free.
got him back on the Cerritos while promoting him, which is what I really wanted to see, and I'm really
Well,
impressed that they managed to pull off.
I'm not surprised that he didn't make it more than 2 episodes into this season off of his main ship. I'm not surprised. It wasn't going to last very long.
Well, as
no,
I said, our last podcast, I figured he'd be back within a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I actually wish they had spent a little more time on him this episode, but they did. I mean, in retrospect,
He wasn't a focus in either.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
honestly a side story. He wasn't a
definitely
main
B-plotting, too.
character.
and he wasn't in one at all, except at the very end. Yeah. And of course, everybody's happy to see Boimler at the end, except for Jet, because Jet obviously is no longer going to be part of the inner circle,
The
the inner
group.
circle of lower dorks. Yeah. I love that look on Tindy and Rutherford's faces. So, this strange relationship Mariner has with Boimler. What do you guys think is going on there? Because it's just weird.
It's not really strange.
They're friends.
Yeah, it is just a friendship. And because they're opposite gendered, there are assumptions made that if you hang out with someone that is of your opposite gender, that they couple you up. That is like the instinctive thing for people to do. And it
it's the most
happens in
common
high
thing in
school. Like
television.
there are so many people in high school that thought me and my best friend were going to be a thing and we were going to get married. He's gay. I met his husband. I was a thing at his wedding. But everyone assumed that because it was a boy and a girl, and I mean, every weekend we were hanging out, every other day after school we were chilling together, and even his parents thought we were a thing, and his brother thought we were a thing, and I'm like, really?
She's just like really overprotective and like super emotional about him, and
He's a pushover.
It feels
She's
like
a very
more than
dominant personality, and he is a pushover. He
Yeah,
does.
I'm
He
not gonna
lets her
say-
do what she wants.
I'm not going to say romantic, but I'm going to say it's almost like she's got a pet,
Yeah.
a human pet.
She
not a- not a-
shoves him down and
somebody.
tells him to go get drinks, and he doesn't even
Yeah.
argue it.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously a personality thing, but just the way she's so attached to him is just, like I said, it just feels a little bit weird. But then again, well, like I said, it fits perfectly. You think of him as her little chihuahua that she stuffs in her purse.
Anyways,
Oh, see, you didn't like that previous episode. I was laughing through a
What
lot of
did
it.
you do? Kick the bucket?
This episode, I was bored by.
so this one, I kind of looked in depth. I love the fact that like, one of the first scenes that we get is someone that we've seen before that had an issue with Mariner, the yoga chick, Jennifer. is
Oh, yeah, there's
literally
Jennifer.
pissed off and like, can we get moving? Like, just that
Yeah.
Scooty fucking attitude. So there were little bits and pieces of this one that I absolutely loved. And there's a couple more bits of this that, as we go on, I'll get into more depth. I love the fact that the computer hates Boimler. Can we just go with that? Like that, his little side story is jack shit, but it's hilarious
User
because
not
he's
recognized.
trying so hard. He is trying so hard.
There's another couple of people who do a Star Trek podcast, and they have a theory that the ship's computers in Star Trek are actually sentient. And they pretend to be dumb, and they're dicks. That's the theory. This episode really brings that out. This episode fits that theory to a T.
To a degree,
Because the
yeah.
entire time, the computer's messing with him.
Well,
Tomorrow is
I would
yesterday.
also point out the fact that there's kind of a limit to that because they themselves have explored that in canon themselves, going, are the ships intelligent? And they did have, in one of the TNG episodes, they dealt with a ship whose computer had turned into an AI, and it was a massive asshole.
Well, there was also tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah, well, the computer was being all friendly and a little too friendly and annoying.
Yeah.
Well, it was reprogrammed by wasn't an all-female race, but it was like a female-dominated race.
I don't remember the
at a
details.
starbase, and
know
I'm
that
like,
was one of those-
okay, that's interesting. Why would they be sultry?
Just one of those silly little things that Roddenberry put in there because he could, probably.
Pretty much. Okay, so we should continue because we'll get
Alrighty.
sidetracked on AI. So far, one of my favorite characters. You can guess it.
Cation Doctor. Okay, before we go any further, what was everybody thinking when they saw the Doctor being all scraggly? What
Shit,
did everyone
please.
think he was going through?
Really bad case of fleas.
Yeah.
Amazing enough, I wasn't thinking fleas. My immediate response was, okay, is this going to be another situation where one of the doctors is getting high on their own supply?
What were you thinking, Jim?
You just woke him up. Oh, good.
What is
So-
the matter with you?
Continue.
Okay, what did you think the Doctor's problem was at this point in the episode?
I think you needed a nap.
At this point, I was sure that either fleas, like Brad was saying, or that she was in heat. But the fleas were my. Yeah, I was also thinking like fleas or a skin problem or something like that.
So, as someone that has
Stimulation.
owned cats and other animals along that line, a lot of times them scratching is not a hint that they're in heat. It goes both for cats and dogs. They'll rub up against things a
they'll rub
lot
up
with
against
their
things,
tail
yeah.
raised.
They're
Yeah, but the scratching, that's a little off
That's why I
context
was-
for
That's
felines.
why I thought we were dealing with fleas or parasites.
Because
Or,
she
yeah,
is innocent of this
the
crime.
skin rash. Yeah. So we all had the same idea that she was dealing with a skin problem or a
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
parasite problem. And then, of course, remember what I said about the first episode was about the previous episode was all about Mariner and Jet being jerks. Once again, Mariner, I guess Tindy invited her, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
So the thing is, like, we already know that she is off the charts out there.
mm-hmm.
This episode is basically about them getting to know each other because they didn't pair the girls together. Like they even they even highlight it. It's girls trip. But the thing is the girls have never hung out before. They only hang out with the guys.
That's true.
So
Except at the very beginning when Mariner was showing Tindy around, and Mariner was supposed to show her around, and Mariner poked in and took over.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm like, it
She's
reinforces
like
my
her
opinion of
mother.
Mariner. Kind of
She is
kind of a jerk.
exactly like her mother.
Oh, pushy and controlling, and yeah. So, who was that? I thought he died.
Yeah, that's
Everybody
what's
thought
the,
he died.
yeah. Bridge crew
Yeah.
always comes back. That's the let's just remember that. That is like the best quote from this entire episode. Bridge crew always comes back.
Laren never came back. That I was kind of sad about.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She was supposed to be in Deep Space Nine. She was supposed to be the.
I actually did like Michelle Forbes' character.
Yeah,
She was cool. I liked her.
they actually brought that character in the season 8 books. She became the commander of the station, and Kira is basically a pariah. Nobody wants to deal with her. So yeah, Shax is back from the dead, seemingly, and once again, modern miracle of modern technology is miraculous.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just go with the title of the episode. If it was just Boimler's part, Fanboy Overdrive.
Fanboy
Holy
overdrive.
fucking shit!
Right?
Wasn't
He's
just
that
fanboy
annoying friend.
overload.
He's one of
it
those
was-
annoying friends that you're like, okay, whatever you do, don't freak out. Whatever you do, don't freak out. And they're like, they see the person and that they just go head over heels and freak the fuck out.
And he's commemorative plates in a box that he just can like pull out and show off. Like, does he miniaturize them or something?
Yeah, Gorilla says he's Boimler.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, I know they were. This is
The thing is,
this is so Boimler.
I don't have it out. It's actually packed away in a box. But I have a Captain Park plate from 1992. It is the only only collectible plate that I own of all the Star Trek shows.
Okay, but let's ask ourselves this question: If Michael Dorn was in your town signing autographs at the local Walmart, would you not rush down there in order to meet him?
I would not.
Would. He's cool. I like him.
You can't make me go to a public signing of any kind. I don't like people enough.
Right. Okay, so you don't count. I know the rest of us would. We would be
I
down there
don't
to hug.
count.
Judd and Brad and I stood in line for 3 hours at a bookstore in order to get Jim Butcher to sign our Dresden Files books.
Yeah.
And
So I had to work sci-fi conventions as security and anime conventions as security. When I was working with a few of the people that ran them around here, and it was an absolutely dreadful experience. Because for some reason, the B-rated sci-fi or gaming stars are absolute shit personalities. So I was like, I just don't I don't need to meet any celebrity ever again. Because then I'll lose all respect for him.
I forgot who it was that was talking about that. They were talking about they're like, yeah, we all go through that phase. Every single one of us goes through that phase where we're a jerk. Most of us grow out of it, but there's a few who get stuck there and never get past it.
And
but I can't remember who that was about.
yeah, but then you also get the few celebrities that are actually genuinely nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure. I am
Just
sure.
thinking about one.
But the problem is that those tend to be the exception, and that's the part that has me scratching my head, going,
Yeah.
That's a
no.
great way to,
I was
off advanced.
sexually harassed more than once
Chevy Chase.
by quite a few voice actors for video games who thought that I was supposed to be crawling all over them because they're famous.
I did the voice of Wile E. Coyote in that cartoon where he sold Cheerios.
No. The main one I could think about is Old Enough to Be My Grandpa, and his main character's thing was Mamma Mia.
It was Chevy Chase that they were talking about now.
Yeah.
I remember the documentary, and a couple of people he starred with. They're like, yeah, we all turn into dicks for a while when we get famous. It's just part of being famous. But most of us also grow out of it. It's like
Burn!
Chevy Chase was banned from Saturday Night Live because he was so awful to the cast members.
Yeah.
And he's the only
so
person that's
I
ever been banned
decided-
from the show.
Oh, Jim, please tell your cat that Peanut Gorilla loves him.
Loves them.
Hey, gonna have to run away and elope, all right?
Oh, is he go crazy every time the cat's on the screen there?
Yeah. He loves animals. What can I say?
Must protect my territory. Oh
Okay.
God, don't put your cat on the screen. Chuckles there will go crazy over it.
Okay.
Used to see that cat when
next
Jim and I
slide.
are playing Diablo 3 and we're shooting the arrows across the screen. The cat actually puts his hand behind it trying to get to him. It's hilarious. Okay. The box. Oh, the
so
Cation Love
hold
Doll.
on, real quick. Their boss sent them on a mission to retrieve her sex toy.
So we think.
Well, to be fair, that's not exactly how it was implied, and for almost the entire time you're dealing with that, you're not quite sure what's going on
That's
until
fine.
they actually
For
open it.
all intents and purposes of this scene and the following scenes up to the end, their boss has sent them on a trip for a sex toy. Well used, yes, well used sex toy, as Judd puts it.
Well,
And
And
it was used by her. Oh, look, it's scratch marks from her great grandmother. Like, because she calls it a family heirloom, which means that it was passed down to her. ...
That's
Okay,
a whole
anyways.
nother.
gross. I mean,
Mm,
just
that's
speaking-
definitely in the destroy after seeing category.
I don't even want to throw any allegories out there because I think we just know that's gross. Okay.
It is. And the thing
And
is,
that
it
face
takes
right
them
there.
a moment.
Okay, I'm just going to point out that this cat's face is why I don't crap like this is why I don't watch the show he did with the what is it? The one with the interdimensional travelers. I can't even remember the name of it. I dislike it so much.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. That this kind of stuff is like every episode of Rick and Morty, and this is why I don't watch it.
I
It's
watch
just-
Rick and Morty.
I'm
I
glad.
watch Rick and
I
Morty
watch
because
it.
it's like, okay, let's see how bad it gets this time.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
cringe. It's just like watching
Oh.
Archer. I watched some of this shit for
Oh,
the
God.
cringe.
Oh.
I watch
Yeah.
it for the cringe because
Yeah, Archer's another one where you're like, what the hell
yeah.
are they thinking?
if anyone wants to know, I'm probably more like Cheryl, except for I have no drug addiction. But
This is
I
what-
will totally just start screaming, "You are not my supervisor!" if you give me a chance.
Tindy's face when they realized that Grandma
broke.
used that.
No,
Oh,
no,
that's right.
that's when it broke.
I know.
Outlaw County. Hell yeah.
There's a whole section of meme. There's a whole meme section on Reddit about faces like that.
So by the way, trying to get screenshots for all of this while it's playing was interesting.
Yeah, that's a challenge because Paramount Plus. Did Paramount Plus have the DRM for you that made it like not able to get a screenshot, or were you?
I
able to,
never
like-
said it was from Paramount Plus, so let's continue.
Okay.
Okay.
It's hush hush hush.
It's hush hush hush. That's right. But yeah, no, have to get screenshots
So-
somehow.
Yeah, they're trying to reassemble. I'm like, just put some glue on it, but no, we had to go to this.
And-
So this all started because what did I say? Mariner was being stupid.
Oh, let's take a little peek.
Yeah, let's just take a peek.
Because
And
a lot of these
yeah.
characters are too nosy for their own good, which is why they're still ensigns.
Because Mariner
All through this, I kept
behave.
thinking, why not just take a tricorder scan, have the computer replicate the thing, all together.
We
done with it.
only
I'll
brought
steal
one
one.
nerd, and she is not the dominant personality here.
Yeah,
Mariner should have thought of that.
not yet anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
As Tom just skips the whole scene. So basically, they go in and they try to, trick people into losing a game so they can have the money to fix it. Because
Oh, it's called
Mariner's
hustling.
personality,
it's an
her
ages-long tradition.
personality costs her money.
This is also another. This is a very blatant and obvious Easter egg callback. Member berry. It was Captain Picard as a ensign, I believe,
Newly
that
minted
was
ensign
playing-
just graduated the academy. Yeah,
that was playing the same game against Nausicaans.
Yeah.
The
Against
same same species that they're going up against there.
For money,
And that's
and the Nausicaans accused him of cheating. Yeah.
same thing. I didn't even
Oh,
think
yeah.
about that until just now.
Well,
Like, wait a minute.
hustling pool is a time-honored tradition, and that's all this was.
Yeah.
Right?
Time-honored
So
tradition.
anyways, I couldn't let Tom get away with skipping the obvious Easter egg. So, Tom, I know you'd like to move on.
There just wasn't a lot to say about
The
that scene.
dive. Okay, the
Yeah.
dive. I love
dive.
the
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
dive. He is obsessed with knowing information. He has to have the answers. I'm moving my hand too much.
I keep saying this. I'm Rutherford.
Yeah.
I mean,
So every
it's kind
possibility
of-
goes into his head.
He's got to know. He's got to know to the point where he doesn't. Even being told he doesn't want to know, he still has to know.
Yeah. So yeah, no, and I
Tahiti's
love
a magical place.
it's like his commander there is just like, just, okay, fine, I'll tell you. I'll let you know because there's that small connection of, I was doing my duty, but obviously you need answers. And then you can see in his face, in his eyes, that all of the joy that he had of like, I'm going to get to know and stuff just vanishes.
There's something else about the scene that I really like. And I'm gonna go back to season 1 for a minute. You remember when Rutherford wanted to hang out with Tindy, so he tried to change careers?
Yeah.
He and Shax bonded in that episode.
Yeah.
Really quickly. And I love that they've kept that bond. That Shax still sees him as a mentee and a friend, and not just as one of the lower deck.
Yeah, he's not just a crewmate.
Yeah, because the fact that he was willing to stop and talk to him about it, that says tons about their relationship and their
Yeah.
friendship.
And the
even if he really shouldn't
PTSD that comes from it is
Yeah.
just the side effect.
Regardless of all that, I still want to know how he came back alive.
You never get to know.
It's a magical place, Judd.
I want to know! I want to know!
Okay.
You just said she's not dominant, and yet
She's not. She left
Oh.
that.
She's not
She
dominant
left
yet.
that
Oh,
personality
I love-
behind.
I loved this whole sequence. This was probably my favorite part of the sequence, was her interacting with the guys and just being like, they just constantly kissing her feet and
Fucking
just,
goddess. She's being a
Yeah.
fucking goddess. Let's just say it.
she is being, oh yeah.
I would have gone with she's just being a badass chick. A la the classic sci-fi women that, they take no prisoners, they don't give a shit, and they get shit done.
But I mean, like, as soon as she's confronted with like her old name, like her old title, there is so much shame. Like, that's a name I left behind. I've buried it. Okay, hold up. Can someone answer chat? Can someone answer the question, chat? Is she an Orion?
Yes.
Yeah, she's an
Yes.
Orion.
Peanut.
But she left the
Season
Orion
2.
Syndicate in order to she's not the first, but she left the Orion Syndicate
yeah.
to join Star. If you watch the Star Trek 2009,
But you've seen our podcast. Just saying. Anyways,
Yeah.
continue.
if you watch the 2009 Star Trek, Kirk was making out with an Orion in Uhura's
Her look has not changed once, Peanut Gorilla. She has always been green. She has always looked like this.
They say it's not easy being green, but she does a good job of it.
And she does. And she is lovely. I love her personality because she is the quiet type, and that is the type that is. I'll leave it at that.
And if you watch the actress doing her little behind the scenes clips, the actress is a lot like that too. So she's bringing a lot of herself into the character.
It's beautiful.
The
Okay.
actress is not green, of course, but she's.
Well, yeah.
This
if you're
all
green
had to kind of
IRL,
get
there's-
squeezed
there's some
into this
questions that need to be
one
asked.
slide.
Oh, this was so great. He comes out looking like a Kazon, and Tom just goes nuts on him.
And Mariner's way of like let's fix this is let's crash the fucking shuttle.
into the ship and blame the crash for the. Oh, it's just Boimler, and he's just gone feral. I mean,
Too many fumes.
is this what happens when he finally breaks? He just turns into Rambo?
And the thing is, like, the center image is him saying, "I'm your biggest fan."
Yeah.
It's like he
I'm your
goes super
biggest fan.
fanboy, and it is
Yeah.
extremely cringeworthy. But he gets his ass kicked for it, so I feel better.
And yeah, Mariner crashes the shuttle into the ship in order to have an excuse for the statue.
Yeah,
to
and
be broken.
she's like, "So that's your plan? You know, you're gonna experience what it's like to get into trouble? Your plan sucks. New plan."
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, this was kind of funny because she's like, "I don't want my friend to get in trouble, so I'm going to make it my fault." So
But at the
I
end of the
found
day,
that I did
yeah.
find that pretty cute.
But
And
at the end of the
again,
day, she brought it on herself because Cat Lady didn't even care.
yeah, love
Yeah,
it.
no, that was the
Absolutely
ultimate
love it. That doctor is becoming my
just like
favorite character.
it's like her just like, you know what? It's like, oh, I didn't give a shit about that thing. It's like dunk, cat and box is like, seriously?
I feel like that tail should be longer though.
And of course, like as soon as the eyes widen out like that, I was like, oh yeah, so it kind of was drugs. Just
So there are cats that have no tails, and there are cats that have bobtails, which is like that, and they're born that way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the animated series that had Vacation in it and see if the tail was that short.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
cats are cats, so why shouldn't Cations have variation on tail length?
A little bit of trivia. Cations were actually Kizzen until Larry Niven's estate or Larry Niven's publishing group said, no, you can't have Kizzen.
Mm,
When they were first, when the cat people were first introduced in Star Trek, it was the
no, I know.
tabletop
And
game.
Larry, then there was a race called Kizzen. I'm thinking about the legal issue there and wondering if that really is if that was really valid or if they just were overextending themselves. Because I mean, there are plenty of name collisions in science fiction and fiction in general.
Because I think it was okay for the tabletop game to have Kizzen, but when they actually introduced them into the cartoon series, they had to name them something else because it had to be something else.
I can't remember what was the doctor going on about at the end here.
The box.
That last clip.
Oh, that last one is where the hell are you at?
Oh,
Like,
right. Where are you?
It's just showing the progress of her being absolutely crazy, and then it's basically her getting the zoomies, and it's a box. It's a fucking box.
So
She's a cat. It's a
her-
box.
So
It's a
her,
little out of order. Should have been at
Yeah.
the top, that top right.
It
so
was
her
just a
mental
smaller
problems
image.
her mental problems are fixed by playing with a box.
Yeah. So, she had no desire for the other person that is the persona of the sex toy. It was all about the box.
How very cat-like. I mean, obviously that's the joke.
Exactly. Okay, so if you're new here, we normally don't discuss heavy topics. So we've been talking about lower decks. And today we've got a few other topics. If you would bring us back to the topic screen. In case you missed it, we're going to be talking about what's up with Blizzard along with Windows 11. So those can be kind of touchy and or absolutely exhausting for some people. So I completely understand, and I just wanted to give everyone a heads up real quick before we finished up with Star Trek Lower Decks. Okay, Tom.
Okay, so when you get this on YouTube, are you going to add bookmarks so people can skip to the stuff they don't skip these sections so they don't want to talk or want to watch through it?
I might if I have time because
Okay.
like last time you had me edit like another video before this one, the extras.
Oh, right, yeah,
'Cause
we
you
ended
didn't
up
record
talking
it.
later.
It's like, okay, so I've got, 2 hours of a podcast edit and this extras. Anyways,
Okay,
continue.
so moving on. everyone's favorite video game company.
Okay, so this is absolutely dreadful. Because
To be fair, Blizzard, Activision, I believe some of this complaints are going towards Activision and not just Blizzard, but
yeah, it's their sister companies. We're just gonna go with that. It's of the same. It's Activision Blizzard. So you just name it all in one thing. They are under the same umbrella. So
so we know what happened is it started coming out a couple of years ago at BlizzCon. Lady says to the developers, "Why do you make all the female characters look like they come out of Victoria's Secret catalogs?" And the response is, "What catalog would you like us to use?" And then they make jokes for the rest of the session about what she said.
yeah,
That dovetailed
and
into earlier this year a huge sexual harassment and sexual discrimination complaint being
it's
placed against
not
Blizzard.
just sexual harassment on the part of men sexually harassing women. It has come out that it is also affecting male colleagues, where men are being sexually harassed by both basically their supervisors and people of authority within Blizzard have been taking full advantage of people below them for years. And
Just, yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
So anyways, that whole attitude has turned into a huge lawsuit by the state of California against Activision Blizzard. And I'm just going to say personally, we're all on the same page on this, and I don't think anybody's going to argue. It's about time.
Yeah.
The amount of misogyny and the amount of objectification going on in the video game industry is horrible. If you were a video game creator, if you were a video game player, you absolutely have no right to treat women like sex objects.
yeah.
The way
And
the way my daughter is treated every time she goes online
Yeah.
by other guys in voice chat is horrible. It's about time that we're starting to see some sort of action
change.
against these companies. Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of times it doesn't just go towards like, oh, you're a female, you're a girl, you can't play games, stuff like that. It goes to the extremes of people calling you like homophobic slurs.
Yeah, just because you don't want to spend time playing with their male ego.
Yeah.
And
But if we go along this, Ian Walker has done a couple of articles on this topic. He's done a few others in the past. I think he's an excellent writer because he makes it very clear cut and doesn't sugarcoat or it doesn't get all bulked up with information you don't need. So that's why I decided to do a screen capture from his article and not some of the others. In July, we had a walkout and protest, along with the fact that Activision Blizzard released a very pathetic fucking statement, and they said it was an apology. But it was basically one of those that had zero emotion. And it was dreadful, I have to say. It was absolutely dreadful to read. It was embarrassing for the gaming community as a whole.
it wasn't just embarrassing. It was one of the. It was bad. Like of all the ways they could reply, it's like, oh, I wasn't aware of this. We'll look into it. It's like
You
tone
weren't
deaf was
aware,
an
right?
understatement of it.
Yeah.
It's like when there's literally pictures of the conversations, including people in power. It's like,
Tom, if you're talking, you forgot that you muted yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. My chair is really loud. The only thing I'm going to say on that about the response is they are facing a lawsuit. They can't go up there and say,
We
"Oh
were in the
gosh, we're
wrong.
sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry for being horrible people. We'll change," because that's an admission of guilt. And suddenly you have a public admission of guilt in the middle
Yeah.
of the lawsuit. Now, I personally think they just need to go into court and say, "You know what? You're right. We screwed up and we're going to do better and work towards a settlement and remuneration, especially towards all the women that are being discriminated against. I mean, you're hearing stories about female women that are making less money than men when they're carrying twice the load.
Yeah.
And it's just they're
And
making
it's
twice as
not
much money
just
for the
it's
company, and
not
yet they're
just
getting half
women,
this.
and I want to
Yeah,
like reiterate that there are men that are facing like you have to do sexual favors or you have to do stuff that you do not want to do as a man. And if not, like there's one that released information that when he refused to do anything, he was like spammed with nothing but gay porn from his boss. His
I
email
had this
just
exact.
overload and over and and it's like, and
Yeah,
it's not in just Blizzard, it's almost all like techie crap.
it's all over the tech world. I used to work with a guy that did exactly that. He would brag to me about about signing people up for gay porn mailing lists, and I looked at him and I'm like, you're an idiot. And then he did that to me when I called him out for not doing something he needed to do. Like over the course of weeks, I was constantly asking to get this thing fixed.
Yes,
And
you
then
were
one day I get
sexually
it,
harassed by
and I went in
someone
and I
who,
told my boss, and I went in and told my boss that, and he's like, "Well, what can I do? This guy's a partner in the company." I'm like, "You can tell him he'd be on the wrong end of a lawsuit."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
and
the
that's yeah,
definition of sexual harassment, even if it's indirect.
yeah, and it was the most frustrated I've ever been at an employer because not that this happened, but that my boss wouldn't stand up for me. That's what made me angry,
Yeah.
and I was so close to just walking out that day. When I did finally end, when that job finally ended, probably a year later, it was like good
Yeah,
because
finally.
it had reached the point where but
Yeah, that's one of those goodbye and good fucking riddance
it wasn't
kind
like
of
that. I
moments.
didn't. Yeah.
No, just there's a two-way street and there's a lot of bullshit on both sides, but one side
You
is getting a
wanna
lot more crap than others.
put us on the next slide?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get my fan working.
That's okay. So instead
Okay.
of doing anything in regards to the complaints or what's going on with the lawsuit, they're changing the name of a well-loved character in Overwatch.
Well, and
They're naming it
getting
after the
creative.
developers.
I'm sorry. Was there any public cry to change McCree's name?
No.
I mean, McCree's a fun. He's a fun
He
character. I mean,
like no, and
He was
he's
also a
beloved.
developer. His last name was Cree.
Yeah.
He got caught doing some bad stuff.
oh, so they're going to change his
So
name
they
so that he's
changed-
not
so
named
they-
after.
So they changed the character's name to the Cowboy
Yeah.
because I think didn't they fired McCree, didn't they, Ben? Didn't they got rid of the developer altogether, didn't they?
Yeah, they fired the
Oh,
developer,
okay.
so they renamed the character, and this is supposed to fix everything.
No, I don't think they thought it was going to fix everything.
No, but this
Alright.
is
I'm
this
just
is
trying to do
a
the
simple
right
thing they can do that's going to divert some of the attention.
Yeah, it's
It
gonna
is something they
misdirect.
can do.
This
Yeah.
screams spin control, is what it is.
So they're doing the minimal possible stuff and hoping that it distracts the community enough that they don't have to actually reconstruct how their company is ran.
I think the California
Mercer
DOJ needs to bring.
McShooty is the new name, unconfirmed. Okay, Peanut.
I think they need to bring Blizzard down. I think Blizzard needs to be just eviscerated as an example to the other communities, the other companies that are doing similar things.
It-
What was the company that had that was a couple of years ago was so badly maligned for having what amounts to strippers at their booth at one of the game conventions? I can't
You
remember
mean
which one.
Certainly sounds like something EA.
that was CES?
It wasn't EA though. It was one of the.
It
It was
was-
like it was a smaller company, and I don't want to start speculating what the name was because I don't want to bring
I think
malign
Peanut
anybody.
Gorilla agrees that he thinks it was EA, but I'm not sure.
It
what
wasn't though.
I
Not what
will-
I'm thinking of.
I have been to game cons and I will tell you the quote unquote eye candy appeal is done by everyone. However, over the last decade, it has been toned down. I've actually been to professional conventions that actually had adult stars in booths signing autographs to get attention to them.
Yeah, it was something like that, and I want to say it was the guys who made Detroit Being Human, but I can't say for sure. But it was like what was going on was just way excessive,
Yeah.
and
So we'll reference it as an idea, but we're not going to
yeah,
confirm anything.
but there's just a lot of that going on, and just the whole, and this dovetails into the whole gamer geek, the geek girl,
Yeah.
the fake geek girl and the gamer girl, issues where, if a woman is, you have two things going on there. You have women who pretend to be gamers to get attention and to get buzz on social media
Well,
so
and
they
it's
can
not
make
just even
money.
like girls
But
like
then the flip
faking
side of
it,
that is,
but like you can't even like a band without being harassed or even I'm not allowed to talk with my hands. I get
Can't just
attacked.
interrupt us.
well, there's the two sides is, one on one side you got the women who actually are
That's it.
faking it
You're
in
gonna
order to
behave yourself.
get hits, but the
Oh
women on
yeah,
the other
like
side that
the
are
posing
legit.
with controllers and the
Yeah,
wrong console.
but you have the legit geeks as well, and look at Felicia Day. She's
True.
legit. There is no one in the business that's more legit right now than Felicia Day in terms of being an actual geek and an actual gamer who is also successful and popular.
Yeah, I've
But
actually had conversations with her. She knows her stuff, and she is a huge, huge nerd when it comes to video game history. She's a lot of fun to talk to about any subject involving gaming. And it's kind of sad that she stopped interacting with the public a lot because of freaking Gamergate.
well, exactly, you got Gamergate, and then you got, if she was 20 right now, and she was coming up in the industry, everybody would be accusing her of being fake. Everybody would be like, "Oh, you're just like Amaranth out there, who's just a stripper trying to get hits." And it's just now you can't be legit if you're a woman, period. Because on one hand, if you are legit, everybody's accusing you of being not legit.
Yeah.
And if you're just doing it for the hits,
And
well,
if you're like good at a
you're
video
not allowed to
game,
do
you're
that either.
accused of being, another gender altogether.
Yeah, and I mean,
Because I guess being good at games threatens people's masculinity.
I was actually kind of happy that Twitch banned women streaming in hot tubs and that whole type of thing. Women streaming in bikini tops. I'm like, okay, finally we got a network who understands that maybe objectifying women is a bad thing, and women shouldn't even be doing it to themselves
Yeah.
because it's women do it. I mean, they buy into the meme
I'm
that we're
not even going to go there
yeah.
because I'm not going to say anything against sex workers or women who are attempting to make money.
Well,
Just
and
the
that's the
fact
thing.
that
Yeah,
it's not my lifestyle. I'm not going to live it, but I'm not going to tell someone else that they shouldn't be.
right.
Because
But my
it's just
point
the
being,
same of like the whole dress codes at school. Oh, you shouldn't be
oh,
wearing that because boys can't pay attention. So you don't want to, degrade yourself by doing so.
Boys are going to pay attention no matter
yeah,
what. It's called hormones.
yeah. My point being though that um when you buy into the objectification thing and um you're out there being I can't even think of the right word for it. Uh you're out there being outlandish because it gets attention. You're
Yeah.
never mind. My point the whole point is that men and women are both trapped sometimes by the way our culture views women. And I hate that. And I was super glad when Twitch stood up and said, "No, we're not going to allow that on our network."
But then they
And
had the
then they
backlash.
turned around and they turned around and they're starting to allow the just chat channels. And you go in there and I'm going to point
Okay,
it
so the just chatting channels have been there for a very
yeah,
long time, many years.
right.
So
But
it's not like they went away at any point.
no. But what's happening is you go in there and that's where this content is now. And
Yeah.
they're just finding ways to turn the objectification back on and attract male gaze eyeballs um without being banned by Twitch because this is the just chat channel. It's not the video
Yeah.
game channel. And and I don't want to point to anybody in particular and say that you're bad for doing it, but I I do find that the games industry specifically is really, really guilty of of turning women into a joke. If the I mean, good lord,
Yeah.
it's a straight up trope now. Women
Let
wear
me bring
chainmail
back a
bikinis and the
saying from
guys are
like the
wearing full body armor.
1960s: sex sells,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
companies take advantage of it. And
but isn't it about time we be better than that?
oh yeah, I'm not arguing that we
Yeah.
shouldn't be better than that, but at the same time, Twitch doesn't actually fucking care.
I think they care less now having been bought by Amazon than they did when they were still independent.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Next.
yeah.
Next.
Okay. So
Slide.
moving on, this is something that I discovered today. I'm probably the only person in this channel right now who's excited about Windows 11, and even I'm like, my excitement is like, yay!
I'm about as
I have
excited for Windows 11 as I am for 10, which is negative.
right.
It's possible.
I
So
have
Tom
Windows.
runs Intel. I don't. So
Yeah.
I added a slide at the end of his thing.
Okay. So the short version is I actually am running Windows 11 on my one of my computers on a virtual machine to test it. It right now it's like Windows 10 with a different skin on it, and I've actually found that you can get around on it faster and more intuitively than Windows 10. But setting all that aside, um, one of the things that really bummed me out was when I ran the upgrade checker on my computer here at home. I have a badass computer here. It works really well. But it used an Intel 6th gen processor. I had a i7 6700K in there. That was fast enough for me for everything you could possibly ask for, except maybe rendering 2 hours of 3D video in high definition.
Yeah.
You know, everything I've done with it, I've been able to do without problems. Yet Microsoft is telling me that 7th gen processor is no longer good enough. Sorry, it was a 7th gen, not a 6th gen. I just bought a bunch of computers for video work, and they're all 6th and 7th gen processors. They're all i7 because they were cheap on eBay, $350, right, for an i7 with 32 gigs of RAM. That's crazy. So I bought a couple of those. I bought a NUC. I bought another NUC. This computer right here is an i7 7600, I think. That little HP over there. And Microsoft is saying, "Oh, look, you can't upgrade any of those because we want an 8th gen CPU." Fortunately, what we found out, so you see Clippy here is the bouncer at Microsoft, and if you don't have an 8th gen, you don't get in. You don't get in the door. What we found out is that even though our computers are old, they still have Intel inside. Microsoft is actually is maybe not changing the rules, but
My
they're
computer
clarifying.
doesn't have Intel. It's okay.
Yeah, they're clear. It's a joke, anyways.
Which is funny because Microsoft admitted a long time ago that they don't actually like Intel. They prefer AMD.
I prefer ARM personally.
Yeah, I prefer things that aren't ripped off.
Anyways,
but
continue.
so what? So on The Verge, I have linked. By the way, I've linked to this article on both Twitter and on Reddit. So if you want to read more on it, go check out our
Starport
social
Omega
media
Reddit.
feeds. Right, and Starport Omega on Twitter.
I keep forgetting about that.
The Verge has clarified that Microsoft will only be enforcing the upgrade rules when you use the Windows Update to do an automated upgrade. Now, there's two things about that. This has not yet been clarified, but I'm going to bet that if you don't go out and buy a license, you might not get to upgrade for free if you don't use the Windows upgrade process. But setting that aside, the other thing is you're not going to get all your programs and stuff copied over for you if you use an ISO, if you download an ISO and run the ISO to run your install.
So
But
real quick, let's go with one of the Windows errors that came with Windows 10. If you go to upgrade your processor to be able to actually upgrade to Windows 11, there's a chance that it'll nullify your license. And you will have to buy a new one in order for them to be like, "Oh, your license is valid. We'll update now." No. And anytime you have to change out anything on your motherboard.
I bought a brand new I busted out the credit card and I bought a brand new CPU, 10th gen i9 motherboard and memory to replace this, to get this computer up to spec. specifically to be ready to run Windows 11 and avoid the rush that's going to happen come October, November.
Yeah.
And when I installed everything, what did I get? The little watermark down at the bottom of the screen. Let's see, it would be down here.
License isn't valid.
Yeah, your license is not valid. So I had to go through and relicense it. I was able to use the same key, but that's because I actually am using I'm using an actual key. I have an actual number that's written down that I can enter.
Yeah.
If you license it through an automated upgrade process, you had Windows 8, or if you had a machine that came with Windows 7 and you upgraded to Windows 8 and you upgraded to Windows 10 and you're upgrading to Windows 11,
They
that those
wanted the
or if you
key from Windows
yeah
7, and when I gave them that key, they're like, "This is already being used on a device." And I'm like, "No shit, Sherlock."
yeah
Thank you,
um
Windows Tech Support. You have made my life so much better.
go ahead, Judd.
Quite surprised. I bought motherboard processor from Micro Center. Bought an OEM key for Windows 10, Windows 10 Pro. Installed everything, installed the key on all that kind of stuff, and it was funny. I'd replaced my 4770K and motherboard and RAM, put that in the computer out in the garage, upgraded this thing, and then like 6 months later, I finally decided I'm going to start working on that computer out in the garage. I go to install everything, and hey, I got Windows 10 Pro installed. Figured I was going to have to buy a license. Not. As soon as it connected to the internet, activated. With what?
Yeah, he's lucky. Let's ignore him.
Now,
Okay.
I picked up 3 computers from work. We're e-wasting them. I asked, and yes, I was able to. They gave them to me. They're 4th gen i5s. I installed Windows 10 Pro on one to use as my uh, security camera server.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do anything. As soon as it connected to the internet, bam, it had a license because the computers actually came with 8.0 with the license key built into the BIOS. So we just use that to install or to activate.
That's where
Okay.
this one came from. This was a decommissioned office computer.
Okay, so real quick, if you're running, the superior AMD processors, they only have to be Ryzen 2000 or newer. They're affordable, which I love what AMD has been doing, and I myself am going to be upgrading my computer soon. Though I'm already using the Ryzen 7 series. So just how to say it. Just how to say it. How to be the AMD fangirl real quick, since everyone else was on the Intel, fat train.
Speaking of Windows 11, we'll probably do a short tutorial segment at some point about one of the sticking points about upgrading to Windows 11 is going to be something called the Trusted Platform Module, or
Yeah.
if you have
And
or
that
there's
will
something.
be on the YouTube channel, correct?
Yeah, we'll just stick that directly on the YouTube channel. It won't be a live stream like we're doing tonight.
So just make
And
that
we'll
clear.
kind of go through the various ways to activate TPM if you have a computer without a TPM active right now. If you have an 8th gen or newer, TPM is actually even some, I think 7th gen might be. Intel Core processor. It's called PTT, Platform Trust Technology, and that's built into your CPU. So you don't need a special TPM module that plugs in. You just activate PTT that's on your CPU. I did that with this one, my computer I'm using right now.
So me and Final are probably gonna have to get together and
Yeah.
try to do something for AMD processors in relation.
Yeah. And
Because
that
you
may
don't
mean
do
buying
AMD.
that may mean buying a TPM module for your computer, or it may mean activating some sort of a PTT type technology on AMD. It's
Well,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth researching.
all
Good.
Ryzen processors have an embedded TPM module.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
there's
just had
the
to-
answer then.
and I just had
So
to
then
turn
you'll
mine
have to turn that on in the
last night.
BIOS. Yeah, basically what we'll do is we'll just show how to turn that on in the BIOS when you have embedded platform trust in your CPU.
Yeah. The downside with the way AMD does stuff is that there's a little bit of flexibility in how things are named by BIOS vendors,
Yeah, that's the real problem.
which is it took me literally a day to dig up the documentation from AMD and my motherboard vendor and figure out how to turn that on. Because you think it would be under, board components area of my BIOS. No. It was it under security? No, it was under the power section. Like,
Something funny is
why?
So,
the
Judd,
BIOS on this
did you have something
machine
to say?
actually.
Yeah, I was going to say be cautious about a dedicated TPM module because even within even like Asus, there's like 5 different ones that you could use.
Yeah, you got to find the right one for your board.
And normally they'd be like $30 to $40, but as soon as the Windows 11 requirements were found out about, scalpers got to do what scalpers got to do. So they bought them all out, and they're now on eBay for like $150, $200.
Well, I think the point being that if you have a processor that is capable of running Windows 11, you already have TPM built into the processor.
Yeah.
So buying the module is pointless because you're not going to run Windows 11 on a 6th gen CPU.
Yeah.
Or 5th gen CPU. You may be able to download it and run enough of an ISO, and at that point, they're not going to be checking for TPM and they're not going to be checking for your CPU generation because
We
you're just
think.
going to be. We think that's what the Verge is saying.
Well, I don't know if it'll be removed in the beta because someone has already found the XML file that defines things to check for the
Yes.
installer, and
Yeah,
they
there are people
went
that
in
have already
there
figured that
and
out.
just turned it off, and it worked fine. I mean, I installed one of the betas in a virtual machine, and the installer would load and then just stop because I didn't have a TPM module attached because I was running a straight beta, unmodified. And it's like, okay, I've got to go through all these settings in my VMs and manager.
What
and
is our
turn
next
on
topic?
TPM.
Sorry, we're
Uh,
going a little long, so I just wanted
25.
to make sure
Right,
that
give
we
me a
can
second.
wrap things up soon.
Dune.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
all geeks here, so we'll definitely talking about Dune for a little bit. So let's wrap this up. We're gonna have a little bit more about TPM and how to upgrade to 11 in the coming months here. Does anybody know when 11 is gonna be released? What is it? October, November?
I have no clue. I wasn't paying attention.
Brad, do you know?
The release date?
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be before the end of the year, but
It's
I believe it's
supposed to be
October.
November.
okay. So we'll probably hit that in next month then and go through and get our tutorials together.
And I'm still on the fence with Windows
So,
11 because
the official Windows 11 release date is 2021. That's all it says on the site.
Okay.
So, they're hoping by the end of this year. So
they're
it
not
might
going
be
to make the mistake of
2022
95.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's
They don't want to
continue.
call it. They don't want to call it Windows 2021 and end up releasing it in 2022.
Yeah.
All right. So next is a science fiction classic that has spawned 3 movies so far, and
So
soon to be a 4th.
it's
Next slide.
Okay.
There you go.
so Dune 1 will be released in October. So far, it's got outstanding peer review. But he's hoping that he can make this a trilogy. So Dune 2 is already, or Dune Part 2. Do not call it Dune 2 because,
There's a video game by that name.
well, not
Well-
just that, but it's the continuation of Dune Part 1. He doesn't feel that Dune 1 or Dune 2 does Dune justice because it's all the same story.
Wait, are they doing what they did with Mockingbird, splitting one book into 2 parts? Or 2 or 3
3.
parts?
Basically,
So, okay.
he's trying to make it like a Lord of the Rings trilogy, but with Dune.
Right, but I mean, Lord of the Rings was sold as a trilogy, and technically it's 6 books because
Yeah, but
even Tolkien split each book into 2 parts.
we won't know until we actually start seeing the movies. And
I mean, considering the amount of hate previous versions of Dune have received,
there's a lot
they're
of
playing it a little close
hype
to the vest.
on Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 and the person that is directing them. So,
I am cautiously excited for this. I read the original book by Frank Herbert when I was in high school, and I think it was my sophomore year. So I was like 15 years old, it's a long book. I mean, it's a thick paperback. It's like 600 pages. But I mean, the book at the end of the day, the book is really more, especially the second books and going on into the series, are more about politics than action. But that first book just had so much going on in it, and I was so excited to see that in movie form. And then when we got out of David Lynch, I'm like, what just happened here?
Well, did you see they forced him to cut it down, and they released an extended edition called the Alan Smithy edition.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I asked one of my, I mentioned it to my brother, and my brother's like, that's the Hollywood term for no one wants to put their name on it, but they have to put a name on it.
So I'm
Like,
gonna
that's the Hollywood joke name.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give everyone a little bit more information. So, the schedule for the world premiere of Dune Part 1 is the 78th Venice International Film Festival on September 3rd. So if
Ooh.
anyone's attending that,
So a
congratulations.
couple of weeks away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
It's going to be
literally next
released
week.
in theaters in 3D on October 22nd, 2021 by Warner Brothers Pictures with a simultaneous release on HBO Max, streaming for 30 days. So you'll have 30 days if you have HBO Max. And Tom is just like, I won. I just won the lottery. I just saw that.
I
I'll be
will say
watching
there's
that on Max.
there's one truly amazing
I'd
upside.
rather see it in the theater.
I would love to see it in theaters too, but considering the fact that
We're
Hollywood
not,
is making movies
Nope.
and we're not going to theaters,
Nope.
at least we're getting it in streaming form.
right?
Yeah.
I
I mean-
appreciate that. I do.
I hope they actually realize this is a great way to continue going forward. We'll give it 6 months to a year before we put it on streaming platforms.
Well, I gotta say though, I mean, this not to divert too far from the course here. The lawsuit that with Scarlett Johansson and Disney right now is really
He's
it's-
sunk.
So let's
Well,
go
but
over
it's
the
really-
director.
Okay, go ahead.
So I really don't want to get off topic with other genres and other screenplays and all that, especially with other platforms like Disney. But I just wanted to go over the director that is doing Dune Part 1. If that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he did Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, Arrival in 2016, Prisoners and Enemy, those ones in 2013, and these are his feature films. In 1998, he was also the director of August 32nd on Earth. So he's got some sci-fi experience in his belt already. So I'm kind of excited for that. He does also do short films, but this is actually going to be the predecessor to Dune: The Sisterhood, which is going to be a TV series that he's directing.
Oh.
Which is also probably why it's going right to a streaming service for that 30-day trial. So
Mhm.
this is an attempt to change some filming in a large step, if that makes sense. Sorry.
It wouldn't be the first time we've had a theatrical movie be the pilot for a television show.
Yeah, but when was the last time one streamed the day it was released?
Oh, that's been happening a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like I
So,
said, that's what
I
Scarlett Johansson was suing
I
for,
hope
is
that when things go back to normal, society-wise, that this doesn't
Uh-huh.
go away.
it's going to. It's just going to, because they're not making anywhere near as much money on this through this model as they are with theatrical releases.
Movie theaters are gross, though. Anyways.
They will make money if they do the premium streaming things, which is what they should have done on Disney Plus, where they're charging an extra $20 for you to watch the movie on the
Yeah.
streaming platform. If they're doing that, they're going to continue to make money on it, but it's not going to be any of this. With HBO, they don't have the premium.
Yeah.
Stream.
Not like
just-
Amazon Prime, where if you have
Right.
Prime, you have free stuff, and then you can rent or watch things for an extra fee.
Well, my point being that HBO is just has it's just HBO Max. If it's on there, it's on there. They don't have the you can pay $20 to watch this movie that's in theaters right now.
Yeah.
I think they should do that. I think they should do that with every theatrical release should be available for home viewing at a charge, at a
Yeah.
price. But make that price high enough that two people would have bought tickets to go to the theater to see it. Make it 20, $30.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with just throwing it up on HBO or Netflix at the same price as your subscription, and then nobody makes any money on it when you have a $400 million movie.
That's fair. Yeah. And, it should have an equate at some point. That is true.
Yeah. So yeah, Devil's Fan of You. I watched that Blade Runner sequel. I think it had been so long since the original Blade Runner was made that
It
no
lost
sequel
meaning.
could stand up to the. Well, no, it's worse than that because I'm gonna go against nerddom in general when I say I don't think Blade Runner was that great a movie. I think it did a lot of things that no one had done before, but as far as being a great film, I
Yeah.
don't think it really was. Let me preface that by saying, at 10 years old or whatever age I was when I watched it, it was boring. Watching as an adult, I'm finding nuance and subtlety that wasn't there as a kid. I was expecting Star Wars. I got a 1920s detective film. So no
I-
matter what, but it's been turned into this thing, this beloved cultural icon that no matter what you did, it was impossible to live up to that legacy.
Yeah,
as a
kind of like
cultural
the
icon.
whole Star Wars thing. Disney took over, and they ruined an entire
Yeah.
genre.
But the point being that that Villeneuve's version of Villeneuve's sequel to Blade Runner, I thought was pretty good. I thought the stuff they explored in that was really good. And quite frankly, if someone's going to make Dune, the guy that made that movie certainly can do justice to Frank Herbert's the intricacies of what Frank Herbert was trying to portray.
And that's what I'm hoping. That is what I'm hoping with this, because we need a good Doom. We
Yeah, we
need
do.
it.
We
do.
deserve a good Dune.
Okay. So they're very hopeful for part 2 as well. So depending on what goes on in the next couple of months, that's what will decide if we get a Dune part 2. Anyways,
I really hope they don't turn this in. I really hope they don't make a cliffhanger out of this and like part 1 is a third of the book and part 2 is a third of the book and part 3 is a third of the book.
Well,
If they're going to if they're going to roll things that happen in the sequels, the subsequent books into movies, that's great, but I don't want to go to I don't want them to do what they did with the Lord of the Rings animated movie where they made the first half of it and never finished it.
yeah.
I mean, the thing that I'm wondering is if they are going to, like, Dune and Dune Messiah were literally, book 1 and 2 were just smacked right together.
Mhm.
There was no time delay between those two. One book ends, the next one picks up, and it's literally like a day later.
Yeah, but those were both about Paul Atreides. Later books were more about his kids and his legacy, and eventually the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, but
It
that's
really departed
once
from
you
the
hit
original story.
Children of Boone. The first 3 was Dune, Dune Messiah, Heretics of Dune,
Yeah, I don't remember.
then
Heretics.
Children of Dune, right?
I'd have to
Peanut
look
Gorilla
again.
says he honestly thinks the later books would not make good movies. And that's
No,
fair.
they'd be terrible.
God Emperor of Dune would be boring as hell.
It's all
and-
politics. It's all talking.
Yeah. Real
I've not
quick.
read any of the books, so
Yeah.
no opinion.
We should definitely move on from the subject to the one that is going to be mainly everyone else talking and me sitting here just banging my head on my desk.
Okay, Brad, who is your favorite Star Trek villain? And by villain, I mean everybody that's everyone on the show
Antagonist.
except for the crew of the Enterprise.
Antagonists across any of the Star Trek series. I'm probably going to be with the one I learned about on the first episode of TNG, and just made me went, ooh.
I wanted
'Cause
to
even
see
as
more
a
of them.
child, I
Real
sat up
quick.
and just went,
Real quick.
where is this going to go?
Can I have the slide so I can say this?
But I want everybody to say who it is before we show the
Okay.
slide.
Go ahead.
Holocaust.
Okay, Brad, please, just one word.
Not even one
Actually,
word,
just
one letter.
One letter.
You.
Jim, who's your favorite Star Trek antagonist?
Told you already. Holocaust.
Who?
First Klingon you see in the original Star Trek. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Brad?
really see Q as a villain.
He's not a
No,
villain. He's an
antagonist, not villain, antagonist.
He's a plot piece.
He's a plot
Judd.
device in and of himself.
Judd.
Yeah, Q. Well, I'm not. I'd have to actually think about it a while, but Q would be okay. I always did want to see more of him, though.
Yeah.
True. You
he
do always
is-
want to see more of him.
He is the one character in Star Trek that we never got enough of. And I'm
Fuck
just
you.
gonna say this.
No, don't say we
John
didn't get enough
Delancey
of
is a
him.
national treasure.
Ah.
If you guys have watched anything else he's ever been in, he has been brilliant. He
So
was brilliant
when
in,
he was introduced to my life, I was a child, and his face brought me anxiety because of the Next Generation.
oh man,
Every time they had an episode with him in it, my anxiety goes through the roof. In season 2 of Picard, he's going to be nothing but Q.
Legend was my favorite television show when it was on, and I'm still in
He was
tears
fantastic. That show was
that they canceled
hilarious.
that. It was Q and MacGyver. What could be
Yes!
better than that?
It was actually genuinely well done.
Yeah.
Like, amazingly enough, the writers actually took science and put it kind of in that period and kind of moved it forward a little bit to where he was a little above the curve for what was going to be coming out. And I was like, yeah, no, that's absolutely hilarious. And it's like, hey, we're going to use swamp gas to start an engine. It's like, how the hell is swamp gas going to run an engine? What's an engine?
And then,
It was
and
so
then there's
bad.
this little, and then
much
there's this
better.
little children's television show, this little children's animated show about talking horses.
Oh God. Oh God.
The
Make
one of the chief, I'm not going to use the word even villain. One of the characters in this is a virtual god by the name of Discord, played by John Delancey. He is the best character in that series.
So a show
Bar
I
none.
also didn't watch. It's one of those
Oh,
things that
wait.
needs to be burned in
That
society.
was
Oh.
not.
He
None of
was
those.
asked to comment about that, by the way.
None of those
Go ahead.
is the best show that he was in.
What's the
The
best show?
best show that he was in was a soap opera back in the 70s, The Days of Our Lives, where he played a mental patient. And in the very last episode he was in, which was about 15 years before The Next Generation, he showed up in a Napoleon suit and said he'd invented a time machine. And you never saw him again.
That's so perfect because when we meet the first Proto Q in the next
Yeah.
in the original series, what's he wearing?
And that's like, if I ever meet him, that's what I'm going to ask him. Was that a coincidence, or did you just thought it would be fun to go from there?
Okay, so a less cringy kids show that he voice acted in that is actually of the fan fiction we speak of and love. He voice acted in Invader Zim. Come
I was not
on.
aware of that. He was in Zim. What part did he play in Zim?
Oh,
A rat,
real quick.
probably.
Tom,
Yeah.
if you check on the Discord server, Stuff I Want, Legend, the complete series on DVDs, $8.
Oh. Okay, that's getting bought
Oh.
tonight.
Yeah, they're gonna sell out right now.
So,
Hey, you might not want to dox yourself.
So,
Is it showing me?
Yes.
I have to say very with a straight face. I'm gonna say the name of this character from Invader Zim with a very straight face. He played Dr. Dark Booty.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's like the majority of the names in that show were very characteristic of a 13-year-old
I've
child.
never seen Invader Zim. Sorry.
Why did that show that? It was
Yeah, me
restricted
neither.
to just that one window, but whatever. Oh, I see what it did. It changed. It just opened a new tab in the same window.
How many episodes?
I think it was
He's
like
a
18.
prolific. By the way, John Delancey is a prolific voice actor. He's done
Estimated
voice
delivery
acting
tomorrow.
all over.
So yeah, Invader Zim got 2 series and a movie, and needs to be brought back.
12 episodes. for Legend?
So
Agent
Invader,
Dark Booty.
yeah. So Invader Zim got a total of 27 episodes, along 2 seasons and a movie. And the fandom is still strong. Just saying.
Is he the only character that's played in two different Gene Roddenberry series? Because he was also in Andromeda.
No, I think there's others. So now the guys are shopping. So
No, I'm
Just
not
saying.
I'm
shopping.
waiting till after stream for
I
that.
was not shopping. I was buying.
yeah. Sorry.
Shopping entails browsing. There was no browsing going on.
Yeah,
This
there
is
was-
pure buy now.
Yeah, there was no decisions. to be
I
made.
do need to
other
finish
than-
watching The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. I did buy the DVD set for that when it came out.
That is a good series. I laughed pretty hard at that. No, just John Delancey's an interesting character. Anyway,
The 4K
someone
is
asked
coming
him
out
about-
soon.
someone asked him in an interview about My Little Pony and Star Trek, and
You just hurt me by saying that entire phrase together.
I think you'll appreciate what he said.
Okay, continue.
When he was cast as Q, Gene Roddenberry came up to him and warned him. He was like, "I hope you understand what you're getting into. Star Trek fans are not like traditional fans. They are very involved, and I just
We're
want to
not
warn you."
like other fans.
And he took that, and he's like, and he took that and understood it, and he's very much enjoyed his Star Trek fandom. But he's like, and then I went and did My Little Pony. How come no one warned me about doing anything on that show?
Right? Holy crap.
He's like, I was prepared for Star Trek fans. No one warned me about My Little Pony fans.
Okay, you're sharing. Who's sharing what?
Sorry, I went to share the what did you send me there, Jim? Oh, yeah, if we can.
Okay.
Because I'm just looking at, he's done a ton of Star Trek.
Okay,
Okay.
invite. I have Q back up. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. So, yeah, Q. I mean, John Delancey is a fantastic actor when he's playing to type, and his type is obviously the smarmy, the smarmy, egotistical, godlike
Crazy crackheads.
being.
Sorry.
know,
Awesomeness to awesome
he's-
in the land is what you meant.
He is
right?
the genie. He is the genie in the lamp. He is
He-
Aladdin's genie in the lamp. When he's playing that part, he's fantastic at it.
And it's not his first godlike character either.
Nope.
No.
I hesitate to even speculate what we're going to see in this second season. We did see there were some things that we definitely noted. We noted that Annika was a 7 of 9 had a I'm pretty sure she had a Terran communicator. It had the little sword that is the symbol of the Terran Empire. We obviously saw Picard come home to an empty house. The Romulans that were acting as his caretakers were not there and had never been there in this timeline.
Yeah.
We saw that. I think people were saying that Dodge is still alive. Was it Dodge that
So
died?
yeah, there's a lot
first
of
android?
potential spoiler alerts that I'm kind of just gonna not pay attention to because
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch the trailer. I
Well, that'll
got
have I.
enough to get the picture. That was it.
Yeah, I mean that'll all be stuff that happens in the first episode, obviously.
But yeah, I
Well,
haven't
but,
like read into things of like what people are expecting out of it because
When does the
for
series
me,
start?
Yeah, when does
we-
it premiere?
I have put that in the podcast discussion on when all of that is. If you want to pull it up, because if I pull it up, it goes to that channel.
Yeah, it's 2022 at this point.
There we go.
2022. Okay.
Like, they're not giving any dates on anything. They just say 2022. However, John Delancey was on Twitter talking about reprising his role, and
And
he didn't
the
give any
the
details.
Slideshow's gone.
Uh-oh.
Darn it.
Thankfully,
Sorry,
he
I'm trying to
wasn't
download a
leaking
video, and
any
once again,
details.
to another tab in the same window.
But he did give away something that was very interesting. It's who's talking about him and Picard and how much older they are and how they've changed. And it's both of them are changing. Both of them are not the same as they were. They're still the same characters, but they are older and more experienced. And how it's not going to be the same type of interaction you expect.
It's not going to be Q basically teasing Jean-Luc through the entire episode.
Well, the quote, one of the last tweets he had on is like, I have been ignoring Picard for the last 12 hours. And so he is going to still be Q, but the way they interact, I think, is he's still going to be slightly antagonistic, but I'm wondering how they're going to interact this time. Because before he was trying to judge humanity, and now we have Picard looking at what's going on.
I just realized something, Brad.
Mm.
He has a goatee. What is true about goatees in the Star Trek universe?
They are evil.
He is Mirror Universe Q.
Wait, if there's a Mirror Universe Q, wait, how does that fly? Because the Q continuum is consistent
We're in the
across
Mirror
everything.
Universe. This whole thing's in the Mirror Universe.
Does that mean Mirror Universe Q is a nice guy?
Mirror Universe.
Hey, what's he gonna do? Show up, be very polite. Captain Picard, I understand you're having a problem. Please help.
That's what happened. Picard got pulled into the Mirror Universe.
He's not the antagonist. He's the protagonist.
Oh God.
And Q just wants to get Jean-Luc back to the correct timeline.
Well, because that begs the other question, because in the death of a Q, I'm trying to remember which episode it was, when one of the Qs finally decided they were done, they were bored, and they just wanted to end it.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how there is the road. It goes across all the universes. And they specifically said universes, plural.
Yeah, I think the Q. I think the Q are singular, and I think the Q exists across the multiverse, and they can pop into any facet of the multiverse without. There's not like an alternate universe Q. There's no AU Qs. They're all just Q, and they can just pop into any universe and hang out. That's my theory.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, so if he's got to go tasing at this time, is this like symbolizing that he's more malicious in intent? Or is this just him trying to show how he's changed in
I'm betting
comparison
within the first 30 seconds of conversation you're going to get. So, do you like the beard? I think it makes me look more mature.
He's still looking pretty good for what, 75?
Dude, he's looking, yeah.
Quite honestly, I hope I look that good.
Yeah.
Making a noise.
He's pretty up there.
I'm
sorry, not
so
75,
happy
65.
When we
He's in the
are
60s.
both 75, Jim, Bunny will still be younger than Will Wheaton. Than Patrick Stewart was when they first aired Next Generation.
Can't do anything about the time I was born or the fact that you guys are my parents' age. Sorry, Jim's older than my parents.
Actually, I think it'll be close, but let's not.
That just makes me a classic.
A classic, yeah.
Classic edition.
Hey, my first car was cool, man.
My first car was a Volvo.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are you trying to say I'm about as old as a combustion engine?
Hey, my first
No,
car,
I love that car. That car was fantastic.
We should go ahead and wrap things up while we still have the mindset to, since I know that it's getting late.
Continues down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Well, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're available on all of the popular social networks under Starport Omega. Strangely enough, I was able to get that on both Twitter, Instagram. Do we have a TikTok? I don't know if we have a TikTok.
I don't do TikTok.
Why would we have a TikTok?
Yeah, right.
I don't know, just to have it, just to say we got it and not have to worry about someone coming in and
Okay,
saying
so Tom's gonna get TikTok. He also got Facebook.
I'll get my kid to show me how to log into TikTok.
Don't worry about
so
TikTok.
cringe.
It's
Just make sure you're not running any ad blockers.
And we have a
Yeah.
subreddit. We have a Starport Omega subreddit. Be sure to come on in and sign up so you can discuss things with us. We're starting to post little bits of conversation and things in there that have nothing to do with what we've been talking about on stream. Before I go, I have been playing or displaying the Little Computer People. This is a game that was sold.
I apologize for lighting up every single person's fucking room right now. Because holy shit, is that bright?
Yeah, dark mode didn't exist back then. Dark
But
mode
this
meant
is-
off.
This is
Anyways.
the game. This is the game that when they created The Sims, this is what the designer was thinking of.
Okay,
The
I'm gonna do that.
so this is actually running on a Mister, which is an FPGA reproduction of old classic computers. So I'm gonna start having more Mister based scenes you guys can watch while we're streaming in future videos, maybe demos or our track mode from arcade games and stuff like that. So, anybody got any closing comments?
Live long and prosper.
Tom's thing is really fucking bright. Freaking neon over there.
Are you happy, Bunny?
Yes. Holy
Okay.
crap. Hey everyone, I can actually show you Tom without blinding you. Ta-da!
As he slowly pans out of frame.
Yeah, no problem. I'll turn it off and we'll just do this instead.
Okay, anyways, thank you guys for watching and stick around for the raid, because remember, we like to kill our enemies and our friends in the same way with lots of fucking kindness. So drop those heart emotes while in their chat when we get there, and I shall talk to you guys next time. We have to wait the 8 seconds though, of course.
I'm trying to get to your channel right now so I can join in on the raid.
Join in on the raid.
There we go.
Join in on the raid.
Yeah, it looks like
Join
there's
in
another
on
30
the
seconds left.
raid. Join in on the raid. Raiding.